Okay, 6 o'clock. The meeting come to order. I'd like to have roll call, or do we need one?
We don't need one. Well,
No,
we
don't
can do
need
it if you
one.
want.
That's why we all here.
All committee members
All
are
the
present.
members are here anyway, so.
Very good.
So we all present. So then we move on with the approval of the minutes of drafted of the License and Health Special Meeting of March 16, 2021, and the minutes of recess meeting April 7 and 28th to 2021.
Move to approve.
All
Second.
in favors?
Look at that.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we move forward with the new and previous matters. The new matters for introduction, notice of non-renewal of the Class A beer and Class A liquor license for the Visual LLC DBA and Out Grocery 5932 Burnham Street. Is anyone from Burnham Street here?
E-visuals? No. Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, well.
So this is the process contemplated by state law is that if the committee is not going to renew a previously existing license, we have to give them notice that we're not going to do that, and then they have a chance to come and request a hearing. If they are not here to request a hearing, then they will not get renewed. I don't believe at this point there is even an application pending for it, but the process doesn't require or necessitate that they apply before we notify them not to apply. So, or that they not apply, but that we are not going to renew it.
So we need an motion for denial.
Well,
I
there's nothing
would
to deny
place
at
on
this point.
file.
Place on file, I mean,
Yeah.
either way, yeah.
I would make a,
Mr. Chair, motion to approve and place on file.
Yeah, that's-
Second.
yeah, place on file. Okay.
it's been seconded.
All in second, all in favors?
Aye.
The motion, opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Then we have item 3, discussions regarding the Class B tavern and public entertainments renewal application on the temporary extension of the licensed premises, Polly's Pub Eatery LLC, Christine M. Budiak, agent, DBA Polly Pub, 8031 West Greenfield Avenue, West Allis, Wisconsin. So I believe the members, we have some discussions to,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could,
Yes.
just kind of frame the discussion here, if possible. First, I want to point out that I believe Mr. Budiak has an attorney. Sorry, I just realized I'm unbuttoned here. Has an attorney in this matter who couldn't be here today. He did submit a letter, and so I'm going to advise the committee that when someone's represented, we shouldn't be asking them questions without their attorney present. And so this discussion should generally be limited to the body as opposed to kind of a back and forth discussion with Mr. Budiak, even though he's here. If he wants to volunteer information or something, that is something he could do, but we certainly don't have to allow that in this setting. And again, because he's an attorney, that's who is speaking for him. We all had that letter as well. Beyond that, I wanted to kind of frame this in terms of what's going on and what the decision-making process or this discussion should be for this item. So it was that petition that was submitted, and that's kind of what I think spurred this on. That's a request or a communication from the public generally, but it's not a complaint. It's not to initiate a proceeding against a license is to file a complaint. That's why I file a complaint, and we have to have a citizen sign that is a sworn document and a written document provided to the clerk's office. So this is not a complaint. It is a request for attention, basically. The other point of this is I can tell the committee that when I've looked into this, usually I'm trying to keep tabs on issues in the community, or the community or the alderpersons will say, Nick, we want to summons a complaint on this matter. This wouldn't be something at this point that I would advocate for the city to draft a summons and complaint. There's not a citizen or a city witness on this matter at this point, meaning I don't have police officers that would verify. I don't have a health department that would verify. It is driven by the community, and so based on Wisconsin Statute 125.12, a summons and complaint or a complaint, a sworn document, can be filed by any member of the community. And so they can do that if they want, and if that's how the committee wants to proceed. It can be kind of a citizen-driven process. It is not something, again, that I don't have witnesses at this point. And so as the discussion is going on, I think we should frame this in that, is this a matter that this board wants some more information on, or this committee wants more information on, or wants to look into more? If you want to look into it more, I can put a request in to the West Allis Health Department to use their sound machines and kind of do spot checks occasionally. Otherwise, again, the citizens can issue a complaint or ask for a complaint and bring that forward, and we can set a hearing for them. I had some notes here. Sorry, let me just double check. On the next date or whenever we have another discussion, if there is another discussion, and this is something the committee feels they want to investigate further, you can act as kind of a negotiator to some extent and ask for some changes, but anything that would have to change would have to be voluntary. The opposite side of that is if it's not a voluntary amendment, the license in general is the thing up for grabs, if that makes sense. We can't just revoke the temporary extension. The whole license is what is being regulated by the extension and everything else. And so it's kind of an all or nothing proposition if this is something the committee is going forward on, and if there is some action that needs to take place, okay? And so with that in mind, I just want to make sure that was all out there for everybody to be aware of as we're having this discussion. I would hope that we can, again, not ask questions today. It's going to be more of a discussion internally here about how you'd like to see this proceed, or if it proceeds at all. The way I discussed it with Kale was when I was in the DA's office. This is kind of like almost even a charging decision where somebody would present you information. So in my case, it was usually an officer would present, hey, Nick, here's our police report. I would like you to charge this with a criminal offense. That's the kind of the framework I want to give you all here, is that this has been presented. The community has come forward with some signatures. Is this something you want to discuss further? If you want to see it continue, what options or what way would you like to discuss that further? That's the goal of it. Okay?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Alderperson Christian.
Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate the explanation. I'd like to lead the conversation in this because looking into this, we want to take into account all voices within the community. However, Mr. Budiak and Christine came forward, and we did permit the temporary extension, and that would be from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I believe, if I'm correct, Nick, there's 4 conditions on the license.
Correct.
Which, by all accounts, I don't see any violation of those said 4 conditions. So I want to lead this by saying this is something new for all of us on committee and the city due to COVID, that we put this framework together. We're learning as we go. I had concerns that there would be maybe some pushback from the community on noise level. I know Mr. Budiak has made great efforts to try to mitigate that. But I think, honestly, as a committee, as long as we know that he is not violating any of these said conditions, I don't think that we have really any right to pull that in. Yes, parking might be an issue. That wasn't a condition. Noise level is, however, and for adjacent neighbors or even in the community, I mean, Paulie can probably understand, it gets old. It gets old, but you are running a business too, and you've made a great investment in that. So the way I'm looking at this is, okay, we granted this. It's a temporary extension. It's going to Labor Day, and we will learn as we go how we'll approach this maybe next year. And that's really how I would see to move forward with this. The most I would like to do is maybe what Nick had outlined, is maybe do some spot checks. That way the aldermen in that district can reiterate that to their constituents when they do call and say, no, it's not just Paulie measuring the decibels. We as a city set this, we approved it, and this is what we're going to do moving forward. And this has been a great inconvenience for you guys, but we also are learning as we go. As I said with this, I think the 4 days was probably a stretch, but we'll visit that next year. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, Alderman.
And Nick, just to verify, I know I didn't raise any concerns as alderman for this district. I believe Marty has not either, correct, Alderman Weigel?
Not that I'm aware of. I only know of the petition here. And again, when I got that information, I put it in the police system to see what the quality of those complaints, I guess I would say. And I have noticed calls, but the way they're looking to me, the last time I checked was what we refer to as a CAD. I don't really know what a computer-assisted dispatch or computer automated dispatch. It basically is when the officers went there and who showed up. There's no narrative. There's no nothing to say, yes, it was loud. Sometimes for like tickets, we parked 3 blocks down and could hear the music or something along those lines. That might be the case. I just don't have that here.
I did stop by Saturday and Sunday. I drove around the block, and the noise is projecting out towards State Fair. I'm not concerned at all with the noise that is going on either side of Paulie's. It's not loud. I'm gonna use a decibel thing, and I'll randomly stop in myself. But I think that the level, being a former person in a band who knows about sound systems and everything, it's a lot lower than what I've ever been used to. So I just wanted to share that.
And just as a quick aside, I'm going to caution you too much on doing your own investigation. That'd be kind of like a judge going out and like investigating a scene. And so I have no problem if you kind of keep an eye in the area and see if you're having problems. But that's where we might want to get a city employee to do those double checks so that you're not going to be a witness basically on the matter if you're also sitting as the judge on the committee.
Gotcha.
Nick, the questions of the neighbors' petition, I mean, there's 14 people did sign the petition based on the questions of the nuisance, loud music. It seems like it's not totally clear, but they're opposing the questions of the 4 days per week. So I don't think they're opposing lesser days. I don't think they're opposing, but they're opposing, I believe, the 4 days that we allow Paulie to go through with that, But so the fact stands, those people, I mean, they should not have some consideration as a citizen and neighbors of that area. I mean, by signing a petition, I believe they should have some rights. I mean, as a citizen,
They have the right to, and it is what the committee wants to be done. I work for the city, and so if there's some action that wants to be taken, the difficulty from my standpoint is if the committee wants someone's complaint to be issued, the only people that would testify are going to be citizen witnesses, and that's fine. I'm used to that. I'm a prosecutor. I have citizen witnesses come forward all the time. But I think the state law contemplates that as an issue and says, okay, if a neighbor really doesn't like a bar, they can file a sworn written complaint and ask for a hearing, and this body would have to hear that hearing then. But I would be the attorney for the committee as opposed to the prosecutor, and then having Rebecca Hammock also be the attorney for the committee. I wouldn't be prosecuting the matter. I would be advising the committee, and you could have 14 individuals come and say, this is what I'm noticing, this is what's happening. It can be a very a citizen-focused, and I say that in a positive way, but a citizen-focused process where they can present that information if that's what they want to do. This, the petition they filed is not a document that would initiate any proceeding. And so if they want to contact me and talk about it, I can't advise them, but I can tell them where to look and how to get that ball rolling, and it'd be a sworn statement that they would have to go through all the checks and balances on. But that's their right by state law.
Mr. Chair?
yes.
As kind of to piggyback that, you outlined it very well what they would need to do. Now that this petition has come forward to the city, will the city then advise those residents that led the charge on the petition exactly what you told us? That's one part of it. And then I have one more thing to say afterwards, so if you want to answer that.
Sure. I can't advise them, but I can give them a framework of how the process works and how they can expect to do that. And I would certainly, as the attorney for the committee, kind of help them through the nuts and bolts of that process on, okay, we have to schedule a date, and you need your ducks in a row on the second date. The first date's going to be admit or deny kind of thing. And so I can help them with the nuts and bolts. But it would be my role then for that hearing, if there would be a hearing, would be to just advise the committee as opposed to my role normally is the prosecutor in that, so I'm kind of driving towards a goal, whereas I'm going to be my goal in that process is going to be to assist this committee as opposed to fight for revocation or suspension.
Okay. And part two to that would be, as vice chair of this committee, I have a vested interest, obviously, to hear the concerns of the community. And I give all the respect to Alderman Stefanski and Weigel, as it's their district, and they directly communicate with you, Paulie, and Christine. So I would have a proposal, and I don't know if this even took place yet, but on the ends of alders working with the residents and you as a business owner, maybe coming together to have a meeting of minds, not just where it's the city and you, but maybe you can take some time to bring these citizens together for a mediation of sorts and just walk through it. That way, rather than saying, hey, I just offered you to buy you some headsets, really listen to their concerns, maybe take notes from that going forward next year. And, you know what you're doing when it comes to that. So there has to be a balance to this where the citizens do have some quality of life and peace of mind that they can listen to their televisions. And whether, Alderman Stefanski thinks it's too loud or not, when you live next to it every day, we have to take consideration of that, And we also have to take into consideration that you're a businessman and you need that bottom line to succeed. So that would be my recommendation outside of the committee, so it doesn't have to come back to the committee. And maybe your alders can work with you on that.
And I can speak without my lawyer, or I can't speak without my lawyer? The only reason I got a lawyer is because of the fact that...
No, I don't think we need to any feedback from you tonight. I don't.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
But
I just want to make sure for the record, there have been no violations of sound ordinance at all, noise ordinance from Paulie's, correct?
I would have to double check on that. There's the petition. There are calls for service where officers have gone out there. I'm not aware of any violations or tickets or anything that have been issued.
I didn't think there had been, so I wanted to verify that. I wanted to get that on our record too. There have been none.
And Mr. Chair, just
Yeah.
to kind of reiterate after the fact, Paulie is the only one doing sound checks. So per the recommendation that we actually have a city person come in to verify that, I think that would be appropriate. Like I said, it buttons things up for Paulie and Christine, it buttons things up for us, and also has that communications with the residents. So if it's above did we set it at 100 decibels? If it's above the 100 decibels and Paulie's saying he's running at 86 and we come up at 110 or we come at 80, we'll at least have it documented and knowing going forward so we can answer those questions to our constituents.
And we'll either have to purchase one ourselves or we're going to have to get it from the police department.
no, the health department.
No, the
believe
health
health-
department has a meter.
Yeah, they'll take care of that.
No, they share between the two.
Yeah, I know in the past working with more like the manufacturing district when there's kind of concrete pounding, we'll say, they've used it in those instances. So I've worked with it. I'll have to talk to Bob in terms of Bob Leishow about timing, because this is usually going to be happening probably after general business hours, but they've been able to accommodate that in the past.
Right, so like
Mr.
as an
Chair,
example.
Yes.
Would I please?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, yes.
Thank you. I would like to have some input too.
That's right. Go ahead.
Definitely, this is a learning experience for our committee as well as for you. And we will learn from this, very definitely. We do take great, you might say, when people take part in the petition as they have from this neighborhood, it's really, it gets our attention. And we try and meet to discuss this. So basically, I agree that we should have the health department take part and measuring the noise level at different intervals. We've done that for other businesses that have had these similar complaints where there has been problems with noise levels, and it works. It works. So I would suggest definitely that we go forward with this, with the health department. Also, I'm wondering if we possibly could have, I would say, do the neighbors have to request a hearing? I mean, the committee can't request a hearing, right?
The committee can
It's
request that I issue a summons and complaint. It would be my advice to the committee at this point, and I've just checked right now that there's not a city witness, an employee or a professional witness that'd be able to testify. And so I would, by myself, I would not be issuing a summons and complaint in this matter.
Okay.
You could direct me to, but I would advise the committee that it would be a unique situation without having a,
But you had indicated like a person, say the petitioner here.
Yes, the petitioner-
He could.
the petitioner, he or she could file a sworn written complaint with the clerk's office here in West Dallas, and that would initiate the hearing process, yes. And then they could, we would have to hear it, it would go through the whole normal process then.
Are people aware of this though?
It's in the state law.
Okay.
Call me, or they can watch these meetings, sure.
Okay, that might be helpful too, to have the neighbors have input in this situation, because they are the ones that are complaining, obviously. But definitely something has to be done. Definitely has to be done. I would not want to live in that neighborhood. I would not want to live in a neighborhood where there were 4 days of loud music. I feel badly for these neighbors. I really do.
Am I allowed to interject something? Yeah. As the guy that runs the music and the sound at Polly's there, and a business owner in West Dallas.
It's up to the committee if you can
Mr.
speak.
Chair.
What?
I would.
No, no.
The problem is we're not having a hearing right now, and so it's a
No.
discussion
No, we
item.
don't, okay?
No.
No.
So anyway, if we can meet, as has been indicated, with the alderman of the district, possibly meet with these people in lieu of a hearing, I think that would be advantageous to the process and would help.
Are you asking me to reach out to them at all, or just the community in general? Like the alderpersons are going to work with the community, is that what you're asking?
Well, the alderpersons of the neighborhood.
Okay.
I mean, of that particular district. Or if you felt it should be the committee
No,
meeting?
I don't think it should be the
No,
committee.
I don't think so
And I think
either.
it should be, we should be very careful with the alderpersons, only in that, again, Alderman Stefanski is going to be acting as a judge, and so I don't want him to prejudge these issues. If you want to work out community issues, fantastic. That's your role in the community. But I want you to be very careful, especially you, if you're the alderperson of the community, of the district, to not obtain evidence that you should only use or should be given to you in a hearing setting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Alderman.
I just want to throw something out there. If we're concerned about noise, then we need to do something about fireworks that happen around the 4th of July, because nothing is done in this city about it. And I hear complaints every time 4th of July comes around. But there's nothing that can be done. The police can't come to everybody's location and give people citations and stuff like that, because I talked to the police department. They can't ever find out who does it, and then when they get to somewhere, like, no, we didn't do it. Well, they can't prove that they did it.
Are you speaking of the
So-
fireworks at State Fair Park?
No, I'm talking
Oh,
about fireworks that are done
okay.
in neighborhoods.
All right.
So if we're talking, and this happens after the noise ordinances. Right now, we're talking about an issue that happens during the time when it's under the noise ordinance time. So he's not violating any noise ordinance at all. But we got a fireworks problem in this city that happens around the 4th of July, and nothing's done about it.
So the
Mr.
police
Chair.
are supposed to be acting on
I
it.
just wanted to
Mr.
throw that
Chair.
out as an example.
That has nothing
Mr.
to
Chair,
do-
we're kind of getting off track here. I don't think anybody's doing fireworks for 3 hours straight, amplified, without being busted for doing it. So, but I don't know if there's any further discussion that actually has to do with the conditions of the temporary use or why we're discussing this. But
Well, we did.
I just wanted to kind of bring it
discuss
back
already.
to-
I think based
to where
on
we
the,
are at.
we did approve and based on some of the updates we get from our attorney. I mean, I don't think we can make any change until
So-
the time elapsed.
Or basically, remember we were told that the tent, or I got an email that the tent was on a residential property.
Which is where it was last year at the same place. And that's why I asked in the meeting that we had, I said, is this located in the same place?
And
Mr. Chair.
We can't
Yeah.
ask questions of Mr. Budiak, so I just want to make sure that we're not This is my
Right,
hearing.
we're
I
kind of getting.
can't, I can't.
We're just
I think
discussing
that
it
would be
Okay.
something that we would
Roll over,
discuss
yeah.
if that was brought before us as far as.
I apologize.
All good.
But just for clarification, Attorney Serwin, after this discussion, if we have decided that, yes, we'd like to do some spot checks and have a city representative do that, we then direct you at this juncture, and then we move forward to our next line item, or where do we go from
Yeah,
here?
based on the discussion, I'm already intending to reach out to the health department and doing some spot checks, or asking them to. I can't direct them to do anything, but I will ask them to, kind of at the committee's behest, and just double check. And that way, I have a citizen, or I have a professional witness who knows how to run these things. Not that the organization they're using isn't appropriate, but that's our witness, you know.
Okay.
And so I'll use that. It might really help Polly's Pub, because we might say they are way under and it's not a problem. It might hurt, and we will address that as it comes up as a noise violation or whatever it might be. So I'm intending to do that, and then if the community wants to reach out to me and ask about the process, I will be available for discussion with them. But the only proactive measure I'm going to take at this point is to reach out to the health department.
Okay,
I
would I
think
need
be
to
a
make,
good move for us to follow, really. I think that'd be the good step to follow through, really. I think, and then we see the report, and then we can take actions upon final report. To me, I think we can.
so what's the formal,
This is just a discussion item, so it can be placed on file.
okay, so I make a motion to place on file if there's not any further discussion.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
All right, thank you.
So, we're done with it tonight. So, we go forward with item 4, original combination of Class B alcohol beverage retail license application for We Eat Hospitality Group LTD and Illinois Corporation DBA Bulldog L House located at 2878 South 108th Street. The agent, Elizabeth Eldridge. You want to come forward, Elizabeth?
Yeah, and I also brought with me someone who actually has more experience with the company. I've only
Sure.
been with the company for a little bit of time,
Hi.
but he's been with them a little bit longer.
Sure.
So this is Donnie.
My name is Donnie Landau.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Go ahead.
So I happen to be the Director of Operations for the Bulldog Ale House restaurant. We have 10 locations in the Chicagoland area. But part of the We Eat Hospitality Group is also 4 concepts altogether. So we have Bulldog Ale House, we have a Honeyberry Pancake and Cafe, we have Burnt Pizza, and we have Goat and Vine. So altogether 18 restaurants. We just opened our first restaurant in Brookfield, Wisconsin, Honeyberry Pancakes, and we're opening a second Honeyberry Pancakes in Greenfield very shortly, and planning our first Bulldog Ale House in your wonderful state.
I'm currently the general manager of the Honeyberry Pancakes.
Great. So any questions from any committee members regarding the applicants?
Mr. Chair, are you located in the mall?
We are located, we have a Honeyberry Pancake and Cafe, part of our group in the Lombard shopping mall. It's called Yorktown Center
Okay.
in Lombard, Illinois. We have strip mall locations. I believe the Honeyberry in Brookfield is a standalone building.
It is right next to part of the strip mall, but we are a separate building from it.
So, yeah.
Is
We're in
it a
malls.
large facility?
Depends on the location.
Depends on location. I believe this location is the old Perkins Bakery and Restaurant.
Oh, the Perkins location.
Yeah,
Oh,
I believe this location
see.
used to be the
Okay,
Perkins.
that's what I wanted to know. I had-
Krispy Kreme, right?
Pardon me?
Across from Krispy Kreme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
KFC.
that's
Right, right.
right off National.
Yeah.
I think that might be 2,800 square feet,
Yes,
maybe? About
yes.
2,800. So
I
we're-
haven't had a
we have
chance to look.
40 full-time employees, 20 part-time
Excellent
employees.
location for you.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
I'm hoping.
7-day-a-week operation?
7-day-a-week operation. We're looking for hours of operation to be 11 to 12 weekdays and 11 to 1 weekends. Friday, Saturday being weekends.
Right.
What operation, hours of operation?
Hours of operation 11 a.m. to midnight weekdays and 11 a.m. till 1 a.m. weekends, Friday and Saturday night. Friday and Saturday.
Fantastic.
Any further questions of the,
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So welcome to West Dallas, another destination business for us.
Love it.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Steve, what did you apply for? I'm just kidding.
For the viewers, Steve is out in the
So we
audience.
have item 5, renewal application for certain licensed adult-oriented establishment operator, entertainment distributors, pawn dealer, secondhand article, jewelry dealers, adult-oriented operator, Temptation, and then all the way down to Daniel Windaw.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything else coming
No,
from us?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of the adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you all.
We're so effective. That's
Was that nice, right?